Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a special episode of Marriage Matters. And as you can see, we are surrounded by family. I was going to say friends, but it's actually family. So all of these people that you see here are heavily involved in our life in some way or another. And we're here at the beautiful, quaint, and you know the descriptor. Lovely. But Common Grounds Coffee House in downtown Lake Charles at 619 Ryan Street. Miss Michelle Williams is the owner, and if you guys are ever in downtown Lake Charles, or just are not in downtown Lake Charles and looking for something great to do, somewhere to come and hang out, hey, this is the place to be. Great atmosphere, great people, great service, great coffee, tea, salads, food, and the desserts are just literally to die. So this is our first, what we're calling Marriage Matters Live or Marriage Meetups. So we just had this idea because I think one of the key components to having a thriving and successful marriage is to have other married couples that you can hang out with, that you can do life with. I said the word community. That's kind of a word that just kind of been, as we were saying in the church, resonating in my spirit. This over 2019, just to build a community of people that can do life together. That the Bible talks about bearing each other's burdens, and a lot of times in life we're just so isolated. I know for me, I know I am. I'm all about being at home by myself, and I'm cool with that. But that all is the way God intended. So anyway, that's what this is all about. So. We're going to just have an open and honest conversation about relationships, and hopefully you guys someone to say something or ask something that would trigger some things for you, and even for us. And every time I do these podcasts, I grow. So with that being said, you guys know I'm Glenn Coleman, and I have my lovely wife,
Tanya Coleman.
And we're the hosts of Marriage Matters. And so we'll start off here and then work our way around. And so just introduce yourself, tell us about yourself and all that good stuff.
Sure, you can talk to us. All right.
Yeah, you should just talk. Don't worry about the camera. This is the conversation. They're peeking in.
Okay, Okay, so my name is Crystal Piper. I am originally from DeRidder, Louisiana. It's only 45 minutes north. And I just recently moved here because I married the wonderful Ryan Piper. And so started a job at Hamilton Christian as secretary, and I own a Christian apparel online store. So.
Which y'all see us wearing her stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh, hey, I'm Ryan Piper. I'm from Lake Charles, born and raised. Married a girl from DeRidder. Went to DeRidder all my life for church. That's how I found him. But yeah, I work at Hamilton Christian also. I'm a head baseball coach at Hamilton, and I do sixth grade Bible class over there. Shout out to Hamilton. And also, owner, me and my family are the owners of Edible Radio Lake Charles.
Awesome.
So
It's kind of funny how this is nerve-wracking with the group of people that you're with. But I'm Darius Charles, married to the beautiful Monique Charles, and it's also we're celebrating
7 years.
and 9 more days.
That's awesome, y'all.
So we are leaders within financial service industry with Primerica. We run a ministry, a unity ministry, which is marriage. We do a lot of things within the community, which we are extremely proud of, and yeah, that's it.
Indeed. I'm Monique Charles, married to Darius Charles. He pretty much just grouped our lives together. On a side note, I make blankets. You can find me on MySpace, not MySpace. That's where we met on MySpace.
Wow. Met on MySpace?
Wow.
That's where we met.
Oh.
So,
from Genius.
I'm not playing with y'all today.
You can follow me on Facebook under Monique Willis /Charles and hit me up if you want any handmade blankets.
I didn't want one. I saw the gray one.
Yes, it is amazing what you learn about people, even though you think you know them. And no clue y'all met on MySpace, even though y'all from the town of Jennings.
So y'all both from Jennings, but y'all met on MySpace.
Right.
Wow.
It's a long story, but
Okay. Look, Jennings not that big, you know.
Come on, son.
Wow, I gotta hold my laugh in. Anyway, my name is Erica Brown. Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. But I've known Glenn and Tanya for forever. I could write a book about our lives together, community. Tanya is one of my best friends beyond my sister. I'm married to Lee Brown. He is not here today because he is working, getting the bag, but doing what he does, yes. But we've been married this will be our 12th year, which I totally thought was our 11th year, but 12th year of marriage coming up this year. And I think I love being married, love being in community with him. We've built a very interesting life together, and we have 2 beautiful children. We've traveled the world together, done missions together, relocated our lives and back together. So, very interesting dynamic. Yes.
So,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say. So I know you guys said you're about to make 7.
Mhm.
You all are about to make 12, which is wow.
Wow.
Like yesterday.
Yeah.
We are about to make 19. Why are you looking at me like that?
That's right.
I know this is 2020. Just subtract 1.
I thought Glenn was giving her those eyes like 19 years, girl.
Right.
Yes.
And you all are.
We just made
45.
45
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a great balance.
It
I was
is a
thinking
great
about that.
balance,
So
yeah.
18, 4 months. Well, I don't say that to me because I mean some people don't make it 4 months.
Yeah, they don't,
You know, 4 months, 7 years, 12 years. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good mix, a good blend. We actually had the honor of marrying these 2 beautiful people. It was one of the best weddings I think I've attended. It was just
Oh,
really
don't make us feel
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Aww.
Make us cry.
I feel
Go ahead, brothers and cry. Let it out. Let it out.
We're all about feeling our feelings.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's what I'm working on. That I'm working on feeling my feelings.
That's good, Glenn. I'm proud of you.
I am. And
I noticed we like to do this as men, so I had to stop doing that too. I used to always do that.
yeah. So I'm learning. I'm working on it. So.
Yes.
So I guess we just wanted to start off. One of the things that we wanted to talk about was attraction, love, and like, and how those things interact, and because I mean, it all starts with attraction, and a lot of people. You can say whatever you want, but it's like, well, we were called to, all right, yeah, I understand that, but you know what I'm saying?
Same.
There was some attraction,
Yes.
going on. So, is that,
You have all the permission to say whatever you want.
okay, I just want to make sure I'm in the right vein. So let's just, talk about it. I know, I'll just, start, as far as when Tanya and I first met, there was attraction. And I remember the first time I saw her, it was at Christian Baptist Church, and she was in the choir stand. And I said, and I always have people say, well, did you know, when you first saw it, we don't have that, that's not our testimony.
Right.
But when I saw her, I was like, and I said, because she didn't, I don't know, how sorry to say, she didn't fit the typical church girl
Right.
mold, and I was like, okay, this is different, So I definitely was attracted to her, and I often tell the story. I'm not gonna tell that story.
Don't, because that's not the truth.
I think it is. Anyway,
you first.
Yeah, well, she was pursuing me. You know what I'm
That's a
saying?
true story. That's always the
I
truth.
This
know.
story.
Well, she was
I
like,
didn't heard this
"Can I
story.
get your number?" Then, yeah. I was on. You remember us playing arguing? You was like, "Can I get your number?" No, she didn't do that.
I would have done
No, but that definitely was an attraction. I know on my part. So what about you guys? I mean, how
Crazy. Like I said, it's a long story. Crazy. I actually been knowing of Monique way before MySpace. And never thought anything of her, which I was the crazy person, obviously. I'm very we went to a youth encampment, Bible Baptist group at Southern University. I remember going there.
You think Kevin so a lot of folks.
But her church went, Mount Charles Baptist, we were Union Baptist, we went, saw each other, didn't think anything of each other.
I never saw him.
Well, that's
Actually,
how sad.
I have no recollection of Darius until that MySpace conversation.
But I'm very observant, so that's why I saw you. But anyhow, but it happened. It was more of an attraction of personality with her, and then I started to realize how beautiful she was, and inside and out, all that. But it started literally over a phone call, a phone conversation. I was like, man, this girl is pretty cool. I mean, funny, literally meshed on the. I think we stayed on the phone a couple hours, a long time, and I kind of bullied her to be my girlfriend the first time we talked on the phone, and literally been together since then. So it
Oh gosh. Actually, Lee and I met when we were probably 9 or 10 years old. So we've known each other literally our whole lives. No lie, I'm not making this up. He will co-sign this. So DM him and ask him if this is true. But he said the first time he saw me, he was in love because he thought I looked like a little Indian doll, which is kind of annoying. But he fell in love with me the first time he saw me. But when we talked to each other, he was like, there is no way I would ever marry her because we are both A-type personalities. And literally our entire childhood, he was my brother's best friend growing up. We did not get along. Like, we did not get along at all. And it wasn't until Lee went off to college and I grew up and I was in college and Lee went to tech. And one day he called me out of the blue. He was, really seeking God at this time. So was I. And he was just like, what do you think about us getting married one day? And I was like, I haven't talked to this dude in like 2 years, literally. And I was like, okay. He was like, I just feel like this is, like a God thing. And we were like, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. And we've been together ever since. So, yes.
So he fell in love with you at 8 or 9?
9 or 10.
9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which gives me a clue as to why Manny's such a romantic.
Could be, yes. My son is a romantic. He is.
He's precious.
So what about
that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Turn this to Lil, huh? Go ahead, you can start it. Yeah, go ahead, I'll just co-sign.
Oh, Jesus. As far as my end, what was I, maybe 12 or 13, but we were at a convention, good old Kojic convention, and I was walking down the hallway, and I just looked up. He was like standing in this little staircase thing, and we were at UL, and I looked up, and all I heard was, "That's your husband." And then it just seemed like I blew that off. I don't know, it was weird. But afterwards I was like, man, he's nice looking, right? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out like how do I get him to be my boyfriend?
So
like
you
not
heard
even
that
my
in your
friend.
spirit. Nobody said
Yes.
that to you.
Nobody said to me. I heard in my spirit. I was walking by myself and I just looked at him and I heard it, but it was almost like I'm 12. I was trying to figure out how he could be my boyfriend. And then honestly, between that thing of like us being friends and that moment is kind of like a blur still. I don't know how we became friends, how we started talking, but like since that moment, I was just attracted to him from then on. So.
Yep, and I didn't want her. Maybe I was like 14. The verse that I heard God said was I was gonna marry a girl named Crystal with a K. Well, at that time we were friends, and so instead of me actually dating her and being a wife husband, I wasn't thinking about all that. I made her my best friend. I said we'll be best as friends instead of becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. So for literally 10 years? About 10 years, we never dated, we never even tried. I was doing my own thing. I was pretty much ignorant of the fact of what God had told me years ago. So I went on my own little journey. And it's pretty interesting because even though I was on that little journey, she actually gives me advice on my journey with other relationships. Wow. At the same time as she has this whole concept in her, this whole revelation in her head that I am her husband. So I was actually beating her down at the same time while she was building me up. Wow. So it's an interesting story. So I didn't want her then, but hey, here I am. I guess after 10, 12 years, I finally was just like, I'm done running. I was crying one day. I didn't tell that part, but I was crying one day. I'm making this. The camera pulls everything out. No, I was just in my room and I was just like, I was hurting other females by being with them more than them being without me. So I was actually not only hurting my Crystal at the moments or times, I was actually hurting other people too because they were designed and created to be somebody else. And I was prolonging their destiny for and so forth. So here we go. I finally just told her what God told me years ago, changed everything, and here we are.
Man, there's so many, and I was like, man, we can do a whole other show on just, because for you, Crystal, I mean, how was that, knowing what you knew and seeing him, even though he knew, but and that's just us guys. That's what, I was scared, I ain't gonna lie. But you know why I was scared? My thing was, what's the point? Because at the time, my parents had just gotten divorced, and my parents were married for 22 years. And I mean, I grew up, and there were no indicators.
Yes.
They kept all of that, and so when it happened, it was like, whoa. I remember to this day, when my mom, I was at my dorm room that night, and she called me crying hysterically, and I'm like, whoa, she couldn't talk. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, your dad's leaving me. I'm like, what? And so that's why I was like, what's the point of, getting married? But, I had a little talk with Jesus. I told him all about my troubles.
Listen.
But how were you able to? What was your thought process in that whole season? Those 10 years.
Oh Lord, I tell you what popped in my head. The heart monitor. And it's like this.
Yes.
It's like this. Because for a moment, I think okay, I can just share my thoughts. It may not be in sequence, but it was kind of like I really like him, and I had this hope moment, like he's gonna come around and one day he's gonna like me, and I'm trying to make sure I have all my little things in order, like I make sure I'm cool when he comes around. But then there was moments where when I got a little bit more mature in the Lord, there was a moment where I actually thought that I was just emotionally soul tied to him, and I was trying to rebuke it. I'm just like, okay, this ain't working. And I thought I was going to be one of those females that he would go off and get married. I'm still thinking he going to be with me, and my life would just be revolved around one day, and I would have thoughts of okay, we're friends, but if he was to get married, I have to make sure I have this, I'm your friend, I support you, even though I want to cry, type of thing. So
would you have stood up at the wedding when they say, is anybody a reason why this shouldn't happen?
I think she said she wouldn't even get to the wedding.
I was trying to just prepare myself just in case it wasn't. And I also had thoughts well, okay, I might be with another girl right now, but if I say I'm your bestest friend and I say that I love you, then I should support you. I shouldn't give you, like, if you talking to me about somebody and I'll be like, man, I sure wouldn't do that. Like, I shouldn't do that. Like, if I really love you, I'm gonna set all that to the side and listen to your heart, and I'm gonna pray. So that's usually like what I would do, even though my emotions were up and down. I'm trying to figure out, am I crazy? Am I emotional? Is this ever gonna be, something? And then I would just be like, okay, Lord. And I feel like the Lord would tell me most of the time, like, listen.
Yeah, just hold tight.
And pray. You listen and pray. And I'm like, okay. So that's really.
I think that's powerful because y'all are so young. You're such a young woman, and many young ladies do not know how to do that. When they have love or attraction for someone, they don't know how to wait, how to just be their friend. And so it had to be God. It had to be the Lord keeping you. Did you ever date anybody else or try to date anybody?
I did before him. Somebody else. I dated somebody else like maybe like not my freshman year, but it was early in college. And honestly, just be honest, I dated him because there was a person in the church that told me that God said to me, wow, that's the person. So I dated that person. So it was rough for a little while because I kept, and the reason I held on so long was because I trusted that person, and so I thought that was okay. That's the word of the Lord.
Right.
But I felt like I was gonna be trapped if I stayed in that relationship. Like I was not gonna be able to be myself. And finally, I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but. This ain't gonna work.
That's good. I actually kind of have a similar, me and Lee have a similar story, but not exact, but he knew that we were supposed to get married, and I kind of had an inkling too, but we were so similar that I never saw it working, so I never entertained it. And he actually was in a full-blown serious relationship with a girl, and when he knew that he was pretty much doing what you said you did, was like, I'm pretty much slowing down their purpose and their destiny. I need to let her go. And she did not handle it well. And I dated a guy also too before Lee and I got together, and it did not last because I knew I would not be able to be myself with this person, and he had an image of me that wasn't the real me. He wanted me to be like some type of evangelist, holy roller, and like if anybody knows me, I'm super ambitious, and he didn't want that side of me. So I was like, say, bro, it's not gonna work.
See, I knew he came along. I think we had. I don't remember this, so that's okay. So I'm tell the story.
Tell me, I don't know.
We had a short conversation, and I remember I'm with this guy.
Yes.
We had just a small conversation. I remember him saying, I don't know what happened that night, but he was just like, did I make a mistake? Like, what, am I supposed to be with you? And I was like, oh, God. I gotta let him go. Because I knew, if he was to come up to me and say, Chris, I want to meet you, I'd be like, give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. We can't be good. It's like probably out of the But we married now. But anyway, I knew if he was to say that, and that was a moment where I was like, you know what? Let's be real. You can't just be with somebody while knowing that if he was to come up and you would just be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Yeah. So.
And they're married now.
Yes, he is married, and I think they are made for each other. It's perfect.
I think you both said the same thing really, that with these other individuals you knew that you couldn't be yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's anything, one of the major things in marriage is being able to be yourself, to be vulnerable, to be open, to, Glenn knows the good, bad, and the ugly about me and my personality and all of those different things, and that's important in marriage. If you can't be yourself,
Yes.
then what are we doing? You know, because you have to wear so many different hats and roles outside of your union, you know, so when you come home to each other, when you're together, you should be able to completely be yourself and
Yes.
be comfortable in who you are. And I think at the same time, giving each other that, we always say grace to grow, you know, giving each other that grace to grow and to change and to evolve into everything that God has designed you to be.
Yes.
You know, I think that's so important. And if you feel trapped in a marriage or in a relationship, and I hear it all the time, you know, where I want out because I can't be myself, you know, and from believers and non-believers, you know, I can't be myself around him. I can't, you know, I am this person and he won't accept this part of me, or she doesn't accept this part of me. And, you know, in a marriage, that's not going to work for the long run. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and you know, we always talk about, you know, the Bible says that the two shall become one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many times in marriage what happens is we lose the two and we
Yes.
get so focused on the one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we want, like you were saying, Erica, we want our spouses to conform to our ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But what we need in our relationships or in our marriages is not a duplicate of myself.
Absolutely.
I need you to be, in order for this union to be what it needs to be, you have to be who you were called to be.
Right.
I have to be what I'm called to be, and together, and that's marriage. I think so many times we lose it. And I say this a lot of times, I understand, unfortunately, but I think a lot of times it happens for the woman.
Yeah.
A lot of times the woman is the one that's forced to, you know,
Yeah.
this is what we do, this is what we do as a family,
Mm-hmm.
and you get lost and because I think you guys wear so many, now y'all wear a lot more hats than we do, you know, with mom, you know, all the other, because you know the kids usually.
Right, we're the caretakers and
Yeah.
caregivers, and so they automatically come to
Yeah.
mom. You know?
Yes.
So my point is that, you know, we can't allow our spouses to lose who they are because it would be a detriment, you know, to our union. So just kind of moving a little bit further. So as far as attraction goes, you know, at what point do you think attraction becomes love?
I think attraction is turning to love once you come to a realization that you can't see yourself out with anyone else. Like if like for me, like the thought of starting, like, okay, I remember dating or whatever, starting a whole new relationship with someone, learning them, and being comfortable, you know, around them. It was like, no, I don't want to do that again. You know, I want to stay and stick it out, you know, with Jadarius. So I think that's, you know, where, and then it's accepting them for who they are.
Yes.
You know, outside of just the physical attraction, you start falling in love with like their inner being.
Yeah.
And I think that's whenever the switch comes, you know, from attraction to.
Yes.
And maybe I should have asked, and you can jump in there, but I should have asked, maybe I should ask first, what's the difference between attraction and love? So I'm just throwing that out on the table.
Oh wow, okay.
So you're up, Darius.
Attraction and love. Like, I mean, attraction, I mean, obviously is lust, and then for the most part, it fades. But it can go from one person to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. And love is just literally with that person, you know what I mean? So we've been in a relationship, 14, since 2006, so we're 14 years. And the way, like I said, I was telling y'all, may have seen my post today, love this lady more than anybody. Like, literally, the way I feel about Monique, I would never feel about anyone else. But lust or attraction, you can see somebody that's pretty, and you're like, oh, she's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same token, it's not the same relationship. You know what I mean? That's what I would say about it. But yeah. So lust, attraction fades because we had this video once. Does physical attraction important? And I love Monique to the point where, God forbid, that she got into a bad accident and our physical attraction just changed, I would still be here and I still love her. You see what I mean? So that's love, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because we all married here, the newlyweds, but we all have changed from the day we got married
Definitely.
to now.
Yeah.
The day we met.
Well,
So, I mean, I had hair. You know what I'm saying? When I got married, I had hair.
Afro, baby.
You know what I'm saying? I had a bob. We didn't call it afro, then it was called a bob. It was a bob haircut.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I'm fine with that.
yeah. So I think that's a testament right there, man. Like,
Yeah.
literally, it's small but it's big at the same time. I mean, you go back to the day you met. How do you guys look to now? Do you still feel the same way? And the answer is yes. And you're in love. I mean,
Yeah.
So I know that's kind of simple, but that's what I would say.
And it's like it's that, and I think y'all described it well. It's like an inner knowing kind
Yes.
of thing. Because when we were dating, like, how long have we been around each other? Like 25 years, something like that. It's
Since I
a long
was
time.
17,
Yeah.
All the time.
And you're 40 now.
141.
41, yes. And so I remember we were dating, and I was still living at home, of course, with my mom. I didn't move out till we got married. That's saving money. But
Take a little tip.
so I remember we had gotten into this little tiss, because Glenn had a lot of friends, a lot of female friends. He had a lot of those, and so
Like, I admit it, I admit it.
so there was this one young lady that he was friends with. She had come to town to visit family, and so he and I were talking, dating. He says we were not dating. I said we were. It was complicated. And so he takes her to the movies and casually tells me, like, it's like no big deal. I was like, what? So, I was like really mad and upset, and basically kind of, I don't know if I made you leave or you left or whatever. But when he walked out the door, I heard, that's your husband.
I didn't leave. You threw that paper towel at me.
That's all I had.
Tiny was real mad.
But when he was walking out the door, that's what I heard was that, that's your husband. And I was just like, okay, so, how are we going to maneuver this? And I think at some point he started to realize and know that this was supposed to be forever, and he was starting to chicken out. And we were at McNeese where were we? In the little...
The old ranch.
The old
I don't know
ranch
if they
area.
call it now.
Yeah, it's still old ranch, I think.
We're sitting there, and he calls himself trying to break up. It's not you, it's me. Kind of thing.
Come
And I was
on,
just
Glenn.
like, okay.
But that was my MO.
Yeah.
I would date a young lady, whatever. Well, yeah, young lady.
Not whatever.
Not whatever. And when it started getting too serious, I'm like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's like I ain't signed up for this.
Too real.
The thing with Tanya was I gave her the speech, and so I left, and I thought, okay, done with that.
Yeah.
But she called me the next day. I'm like, did you get the remote? And it's like, I said, well.
But it was that
So
love had already
we
kicked
still
in. It
there.
wasn't about that.
Exactly.
He didn't try again.
But what you were saying there is, and I guess maybe it's the conclusion you guys came to when you asked the question, is physical attraction important? And it is.
Yes, it is.
Because I think that there needs to be some physical attraction. And that kind of gets the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But eventually, we get to the place where we love. And I think that, love is the pendulum
Great word.
that marriage swings from.
Yes.
And I think, I've been reading the dictionary. Because, even when or if physical attraction does fade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you guys that, and I guess maybe you guys, this is not a question for y'all, 'cause y'all probably all over each other.
Ain't going nowhere now.
But I mean, can it, after, we've been married, and I can honestly say after 18 years, I am still attracted to Tanya.
Yeah.
On all levels. And I would even say that my attraction for her has grown over these 18 years. And it's not only her body, but it's also her personality, her mind, on all levels. Huh?
So keep talking.
Not next to their house.
No, brother, we done with that. Ain't no more names. These just stop celebrating Black History Month with this. So I know that happens in marriage.
Mhm.
I know the attraction fades for some people, and that's why I think it's so important that you have to build the love. You
Yeah.
have to, because even in those moments where, and I guess I'll go into the next piece of because there's a difference between
Yes.
loving someone and liking someone. And, I will admit that there are some times where I may not like her.
Mhm.
So again, I don't know if you guys have experienced that yet. but the key to it, I think, is building a life or a relationship or a bond in such that even though we may have odds or we beefing right
Yes.
now, that we know at the end of the day,
Mhm.
I love her and I want to be with her. And
Yes.
it gives you space and time to work through the hard time. And that's one of the things that Tanya and I really have been, with Marriage Matters, or just anytime we're talking to couples, we're actually doing premarital counseling with a couple now. And one of the things that we're telling them is, look, you're going to have an argument. And I know it doesn't seem like you are. You're not, but you are. You're going to have it. And I guess it's kind of like, for us, when we started, because we Christians and, we're leaders in the church.
Mhm.
We're supposed to be civil and cordial to each other, And so when it happens, it's like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's like, why do I agree with her?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Yes.
And it's not nothing wrong. It's nothing
Yeah.
wrong. You are your own person.
Yes.
That's correct.
And so I guess we can talk about this a little bit more, but if you know that going in,
Yes.
and that's what, it's like I said, with my parent, I don't think I've ever seen them argue.
Mm.
I know they argued,
Yeah.
but I don't think I can never honestly remember a time in my life where I saw them argue. So I didn't know how to. What do you do with that? What do you do when you don't? What do you do when you don't agree with your spouse?
Yes.
And there's a spectrum with this, right? There's police showing up.
Yes.
And then there's not saying anything at all. And
Yes.
both of those extremes I think are not correct. So we have to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
So somebody else say something.
I think dare I say, I think it's especially for people who are very heavy in the church, whether whatever. It's a very dangerous ideology when you get married and you're very indoctrinated into the idea of what Christian couples look like. Lee and I even had to go through that as well, because you think we love God, we serve in the church, we're over a young adult ministry, how can we be having conflict? But I think that what we have, one time Tanya told me this, I don't even know if me and Lee were married, but me, her, and another girlfriend of ours were walking at LCB's track. She probably doesn't remember this. We were just out there exercising, and we were just talking, and she just said, your relationship with your husband is the closest thing to your relationship with your Heavenly Father. And I kind of took that on and tried to understand what that really meant. And for me, that means I disappoint the Father sometimes. I'm not always obedient, or I'm not always responding to what He says. And I kind of took that on just in marriage. I think taking away an ideology, but really like allowing Christ to be center, is the most important thing. And I think when it comes to liking and loving, you use the perfect word. In a marriage, you're going to have a pendulum. You can be the most in love couple in the world. You can love each other, respect each other. There is going to be something that's going to happen in your relationship because we all said none of us are the same from when we first met. And you know, when I met Lee, he was a young man, and now we're in our late 30s, and so you grow, you evolve, your ideas and outlooks on life change. Maybe not on God, but maybe too on God. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, God don't really so much care about this like I thought he did. He actually cares about this. And so now your marriage evolves. And then I had a conversation with a couple, because I know you said you don't want to go from not talking to the police showing up, but I had a conversation with once a woman on a mission trip, and she said the pivotal change in her marriage was when the police showed up. And she was like, yeah, we lost. Where are we? And they both had that same realization, like, we've gone too far. Right. We love each other, so something else is getting in the middle of that. Right. And that's something that Lee and I revisit all the time, because Lee will tell me always, like, Lynn, I love you. I don't like you right now. And I tell him the same thing. I'm just being honest. And it's not all the time, but we have very strong personalities. And so, but we always come back to the fact that we really love each other, and we don't want to do life without each other. And that's the thing, you have to decide, do I want to do life with this person? For me, the most attractive thing Lee can do is when he laughs from his soul. Like, he thinks something is so funny, and he just completely lets go of all control, and he's just cracking up to me. That is the most handsome, most attractive thing he can do, and that attracts me to him. So I think that's it, because I've said a lot.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was really good. I think getting to that place to where you realize that love is a decision. I will tell women often that I choose Glenn every day.
Yes.
Just like I choose Jesus every day, I choose Glenn every day. And so I may not have liked what he said, what he did. He may, have gotten on my nerves, what have you, but I love him, and I choose him every day. Mm-hmm. And so we have to realize that every day is a choice. You'll go out and somebody that passed by, they're very attractive, but that's where that stops. Because I've chosen.
Yes.
I've made my choice, and this is who I do like. Mm-hmm. This is the person that I am going to be with until I leave the earth.
Yes.
And I don't want to be with anyone else. I don't want to get to know anyone else.
Yes.
I just don't. This is it.
That's a lot of, a lot of work.
Yes.
It's kind of like, I'm just saying.
It is.
It's like we're 18 years into this, married, and another 3 dating, a year and a half engaged. Right. So it's like I have so much invested in this. It's like, I can't start this over. It's like, if you leave me, I don't think I'll ever get married.
Oh, yeah. We can be roommates.
We're gonna figure this thing out.
Okay. So keep the pictures intact.
Okay.
So like not liking a person, is it, or like maybe your spouse, is it more like what they're doing?
Right.
Just not liking what they're doing.
Right.
It's a little knick-knack stuff that after a while has worn you, like, then got on your nerves. Yeah.
So it may be the behavior,
Yeah.
something that maybe you have addressed, and, it's just kind of innately, that's the way they are. And so in those times or things, depending on how important it is, we both have to make some adjustments.
Yes.
And that's so good. First thing what you said was, it's not the person, it's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important to make a difference.
Right.
I always say, you're not the problem, your spouse is not the problem, the problem is the problem.
That's good.
And you and your spouse need to come together and figure out how to fix the problem, and not try to fix each other.
Right.
Yes.
So that's one thing, and to know that, it's not. And the other thing is to understand, going back to we are different. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I cannot remember her name, but she's a family therapist, whatever. But she said 69% of all conflicts in marriage cannot be resolved.
Cannot be?
Cannot.
Mm.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I know, like 69%. And she was like, yeah. She said, because you are, and that's what she said, and she used the example, she's like, he may be introverted, you may be extroverted.
Got you.
So, like, you want to go out to these parties and be social, and he just wants to stay at home. And she was saying, there's no way that you can change that because that's who you are.
Right.
So what we have to do is find out how can we compromise or meet halfway to say, okay, we're only going to do one party a week, and she said, she's like, and I was like, man, that's kind of, she said, take 2 cars, you know, and when he's ready, he can go, and you're going to stay, and you know, and just find out, you know, where that balance is. But I really like this conversation because, like I said, I think a lot of couples, because they don't know going into this, in other words, when they don't know these things and they have a disagreement, they think it's over. It's like, oh my God, we failed.
Right.
Well, no, you haven't failed.
Yeah.
It's just, you just had a disagreement.
Right. You have some work to do.
Yeah. You have, yeah.
And that's where, to me, that's marriage. Marriage is making the adjustments and making those choices every day to say, you know what, I'm going to love this person. Yeah.
That's good. So what she's saying, they can't be resolved in the sense of now you need to make adjustments, as you said, or like let it go.
Right. She was saying, she was saying you're not going to make him an extrovert.
Yes, totally.
Right, you can't change.
Because that's just not who he is. At his core, that's not who he is. So you have to figure out another way.
Yeah.
And that's what she meant. Those problems cannot be solved. You can't change that person. So you have to. What was the word you used?
Let it go.
No.
Resolution. Adjust.
I think make those adjustments to say this is how we're gonna make this work.
Yes.
In this marriage, because you know, and here's the other part of it for me is that early on in our marriage, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
When I would have those moments where it's like, oh, you know, I wouldn't say anything. And I've said this before in the podcast, I thought in my mind, I was keeping the peace. I just want to keep the peace. That was my, just, you know.
And we both did.
There's a Cosby Show episode whenever Elvin and Sandra. And Sandra was like always, you know, Elvin was trying to help her and she was like, you know, I'm a woman, I can do it, you know, whatever. And Bill Cosby was like, when she does that, you just got her. You know, just... You know, and that was my approach to marriage. It was, hey, you know, I'm just, you do you. I'm not gonna say anything. But what that did was, I said this, that even though I was trying to keep the peace, there really was no peace. Because there was no peace in here. Mm-hmm. And then that affected the way I interacted with Tanya. And you know, I say this a lot, but I can be very passive aggressive, and I know how to. I'm an expert at the silent treatment. And then she'll say, you know, then she'll ask the famous question, what's wrong, babe? And obviously, it's like, okay, I haven't talked to you in 2 days.
Right. It's like all this negative energy.
When I say I talk to her, but we can sit down and connect.
Connecting,
And she's like, well, what's going on? And I'm nothing. And that was my way of dealing with it, but it's not, I always say it wasn't fair to her because now she's being treated a certain way. And the kicker was, she didn't even know why I was treating her that way.
Yeah.
So if I could just voice, okay, here's what I'm dealing with, she may can do something about that.
Yeah.
You know, and meet halfway on it. But for me, and again, I don't speak for all men, but you know, I know me as I know part of, and I know other men like me. We do have trouble sometimes saying, you know, this is expressing how we feel about certain things. I know for me.
Yeah.
I think society has not given men in particular permission to speak about your feelings, to, you know, show that emotion and all of those things. Because it's always like, man, you know, suck it up. You're one. You know, stop crying. You got blood running down your legs, but stop crying, you know, that kind of thing. So we have to give our young men permission to be emotionally intelligent, like understand your feelings, put words to all those emotions instead of, you know, doing the things that some guys will do when they're struggling, you know, internally. We have to give men permission. Yeah. You know?
Because there's a quote or a meme or whatever, and it said that you can, and I'm probably misquoting this, but it was saying you can basically you can fix a child or a boy when he's young, but you can't. It's hard to fix a broken man, and I'm missing a pivotal word for that. But that's something that's very important to Lee and I, because obviously we have a son, and emotional intelligence is very, very important to us for him because he was born a romantic. I do not know where he got it from because he did not get it from me. And maybe he got it from his dad, but he must have gotten it from his dad. But he feels, he's a feeler. Yeah. And sometimes especially now that he's getting older, he's 10, and I see he's turning into like a boy. And, we may have some point of conflict, and I see him starting to bottle up those emotions, and I'm like, Manny, you are free to speak accordingly, but you are free to speak how you feel. And he'll say, well, I don't care for how you said that or how it made me feel. And I say, okay, well, how did it make you feel? And then he'll say, well, it made me feel less than or small, or like you didn't consider me. And then that gives him an opportunity to speak to me, and then we're communicating, which I feel is a big thing with boys in particular that is not, hasn't been super important in the past, or just the knowledge in especially certain communities just hasn't been important. It's be a man, be quiet, suck it up, blah, blah, which we have a level of that too, because we believe there's a time and a place to be strong, but there's also, more importantly, a time and a place to have some space to feel. Yeah. Be true to self. Be true to yourself, absolutely.
So I guess wrapping this up, we're 52 minutes in. This is good. I can talk about this stuff all day,
Yes.
And we'll do this again. Definitely do this again. But I just want you guys to go around and just from your heart, give the people something. How do you develop that love? And I'm calling it love, but I'm not using love as in, oh, I love you, or I've fallen in love, but develop that staying power.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Develop that staying power in your marriage, in your relationship, so that even when things happen or when things come up, even, whatever happens, what do you do to develop that? If you want to give advice, examples, or whatever. So how do you keep it after 12 years? How do you keep it going?
For me, I try to pay attention to what's most important to Lee in the moment. Like right now for him, the most important thing is listening and action. Like, hey, Lynn, we need to do A, B, C, D, F, G. For him, like me showing my commitment is like getting on it right away. And like Tanya said this, and because we've experienced a lot in the time we've been married, and one thing that we have done is just made a commitment to choose each other every single day. Kobe Bryant, I was watching something, I know everybody's talking about Kobe Bryant one right now, but he had said that in 2013, him and his wife had gotten in a tough place in their marriage. And he wanted her to know how much he loved and valued her. So he learned by ear. It took him 1 year to learn this song called Moonlight. No sheet music. He put headphones on. He said it took him a year to learn how to play this song on the piano. And he said he wanted her to show that he was in the long game with her. Yeah. And that even though they had been together since they were 17 years old, that she wasn't old news to him. And that he wanted, yes, we've hit a hard place, but I still want to show your value. And I thought, wow. Yeah. 1 year of learning, like grueling learning something to show this person how much they mean to you. And so for me, that's choosing that person, So yeah, choosing Lee every day, going through and just really listening. I think listening is a huge component in our relationship right now, giving him space to talk and being present. So
that's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with Erica on listening and paying attention. I think that's really important. With the two of us, like Darius' love language is like acts of service, gifts, gift giving. So like every now and then I'll pay attention to the things he likes. Like this morning I ironed his pants for him. Creasing everything.
Creasing everything.
Yeah. Another morning I made breakfast. Just doing things for him, showing him that I care.
Yes.
I'm aware of things he likes and everything. Like this morning, he was telling me a couple of things that he liked that he may want it for Valentine's Day or anniversary. But majority of them, I'm like, I already know this, so I didn't write anything down because I knew basically everything. But I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Listening, paying attention, and being each other's best friends. 'Cause I really can't see myself like with anyone else. I don't want to, find time to, be with anyone else or become anyone else's like best friend. Like when we share, we're really open and honest with each other. Like the ugly parts of each other, we find beautiful within each other. So it's it's all of that.
That's very good.
Like that. So I would say, man, the best thing is prioritizing each other. Like literally, we talk about date nights all the time and whatnot. Because over time, as we agree, things are going to change. Lifestyle, work, job, just everything is going to change in a sense over a period of time. But if you prioritize each other and keep up with the growth of one another, let's say that. Because they say, for example, let me just give y'all a quick example. When I came to Christ, really came to Him, that was in 2011. My sister, who was my rock in the whole process, she said the devil's going to try to pull you away with so many different distractions or things that's so close to you. And if some of y'all know or don't know music, and Monique was my everything. And music, it was a weird scenario when the devil tried to use that to bring me back in. But then also, not saying music is the devil, but y'all get what I'm saying, the type of music I was doing. But then I remember one time Monique had mentioned this to me. She said that she missed the old areas, the fun, the hanging out, the stuff I used to do. But let's just say that was a 5-year mark in our marriage, which it wasn't, but it just said it was. And she was on pace as far as communicating, dates. We just keeping up with one another. Hey, you know what? Today is our day. We got to be with one another. And as guys that work a lot, that could be tough to slow down and to mark it off. Like, hey, this is 2-3 hours I'm gonna be with you. This is 2-3 this is the time. Whereas okay, and I'm doing a lot of rambling, but this year we committed that we are going to do more of growing our marriage. Of course, we will give, but we also need to receive something. So we need to go to a conference or 2 or 3, things of that nature. So prioritizing and making time for each other is one way that you can actually have that long-lasting love for one another. Keep growing, don't stop.
That's awesome.
Well, we all been married for 4 months.
I don't know what you got.
The love is still rolling, baby. The love is still rolling. Just a couple of things. One thing for sure is something that I've put and we talked about recently is we put each other first. Everything else really don't matter at the end of the day. I know we say, I gotta go to work, with me go to Edible every morning, she goes to school every morning, and after the school, I'm at the school for a little bit longer for baseball, while she's going home and work on those shirts. By the time I get to the house, we head to church.
Right.
So by the time we get to church, we seeing each other at 9 o'clock p.m. You know what I'm saying? So I done left at 7 in the morning, the next time we actually get time to spend with each other is 9 o'clock at night. So we've come to the realization that I can shut all that down at any time.
Right? Yes.
And I tell her that all the time. I say, look, I'll lose my job if it's messing us up. I'll stop a baseball practice for 30 minutes. I wouldn't practice at all just to spend time with you. So what we come to realize that at the end of the day, that everything else really doesn't matter in the end. You know what I'm saying? It's really about how we spend time with each other is more important. So the weekends are very important for us. So that's how I look at it. I look at it as liking someone lasts for a moment, but love lasts forever.
Yeah.
And it's just like on Facebook, you may see a post and you go like, and you just keep on scrolling. You may see a picture, you say like, and you just keep on going, which means that picture becomes something that you like for a moment. Tomorrow that picture ain't gonna be there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you about to go back to that picture and say, oh, I like it. Now, if you go back to the picture and say you like it for the next 5-6 years, that means you fell in love with that picture.
Right.
I really love this picture. Sometimes she say things like, hey man, I really loved going to Memphis. Which means that she really had a moment. It wasn't just I like Memphis.
Yeah.
So I really loved it to the point that if we ever have to go back, we'll go back again.
Yes.
You know, so it's something that I've learned over the years, and that's just coming through spending time with God before I got married. I mean, like I said, it wasn't when God showed me what love was is what changed my view of how I see Crystal as attraction. You know what I'm saying? You know, God showed me love is patient, love is kind. We know the scripture, you know, and all those cool things. He showed me that everything else is meaningless. At the end of the day, Ecclesiastes, you know, it talks about how so many things are meaningless. And whenever I got that revelation of like, wow, it really is meaningless, you know, to argue with her, to all the arguments. And then I think Tony Evans said it best. He said whenever his wife was on the deathbed, whenever she's on her way out, he said all the arguments started going in through his head and was like, God, dog, that was pointless.
Yeah.
He was like, oh my God. Every argument started pointing. When she was telling him, hey, let me go. He says, I realized that everything that we ever argued about, what we didn't like for 20, 40 years, all those moments became meaningless in that one moment right there. And so when he said that, it struck something in us and was like, yeah, we refuse to let any of that affect us for the rest of our life. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I know y'all, you know, people say we're going to have those moments, you know. I'm like, it's funny because I'm curious to even have an inside scoop on what that argument might be. Because right now, it's like 4 months in, you're like,
Yeah, you just enjoy where you are.
I really like wanted to do the inside scoop just to see. I want to know what we argue about. Like,
It's not even.
Yeah.
It's not even a lot of time. It's not arguing. It's just conflict.
It's like a petty.
But when you don't know, when you don't have that mentality, like you said with Tony Evans, that one thing coupled with this one little bitty thing, and then that one little bitty thing, and that one little bitty thing, it's just like one day it just all comes to a police attack. Exactly. And then people, the close things, and people that know you be like. But you're right.
That's something that you know. We just came to the conclusion because our biggest fear was that I think we shared in marriage counseling was our whole thing was doing ministry together. You know, she has her thing, I had mine, and it was like, what does that even look like together? You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we discovered it this year because we're doing the healing conference together, for things like that. But that was our biggest thing. Was like, man, if I'm in Texas and you're in California, like. What's gonna happen? Like that was our biggest fear, but I believe every day we're learning how to manage that too. So, yeah, kudos to you guys for one for marriage counseling. If you need it, sorry.
I would have to say, like, this is the prayer that I've been praying before we got married, and this is the prayer that I'm praying now is grace. Help me to see with the eyes of grace, and that that I know one thing. I know we kind of sharing experiences of. He actually repeated me one day. He didn't even let me finish the sentence, but sometimes, like, if we're going to Edible, and I might go Broad Street, but Ryan be like, "Why don't you go to the other street?" And I'd be like, "There's 2 ways to get to Edible." And Ryan said, "Well, but this is quicker." And I'm like, "Well, okay, it's still 2 ways to get to Edible." It's like understanding that we do see different viewpoints and how we do things or how we get certain places, and it's not necessarily wrong. It's just different, and that's okay. And so it doesn't have to be like you have to go this way every time. You have to do this, you know. And so I'm just like, that's just my prayer is that that the Lord will help me or help us learn to adjust to one another as we like walk through life. That we show each other grace. But that we're bold enough to, like, if there is a problem, we're bold enough to come together and address the problem, and not just be like, oh, you're trying to attach the problem to the person.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that's all I have: prayer, grace, you know, and just knowing His heart. Because sometimes how I might understand things, or how I might understand things may not be like how he's trying to say it. And so it's easy to like be like, well, what do you mean by that? You know, or maybe to get offended, I don't know. But, you know, that's another one of my prayers is that, Lord, let me hear His heart. Let understanding be open in our communication so that we can, move forward. Because I just know that if you keep dwelling on those things, it's like, I don't do it this way, but as you do it, like something so small can turn into like, just want to give up. But yeah, those are the
That's awesome. So we just want to thank you guys so much for sitting down with us. I like this, and we're gonna do it
So
again.
much fun.
Before we go, I know some of you did it already, but just tell everybody where what you got going, what you're doing, how they can reach you, follow you on all of the social media platforms or whatever. So we'll go back this way. So go ahead, Crystal.
All right. Okay. So again, I am Crystal Piper. You can find me on Facebook under Crystal Piper. That's Krystle. And from there, you'll be able to see like the store. It's called Truth and Light. That's all tagged on my page. And on Instagram, I'm Crystal_Light. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm Ryan Piper. Like I said, owner with my family of Edible Arrangements, and you can find us at Edible Arrangements. Lake Charles on Facebook. Valentine's Day is definitely in 2 weeks. Make sure the video get out pretty soon. So check us out at Edible Arrangements at 4110 Lake Street. Also, me and Crystal are getting ready to do a healing conference here in Lake Charles. Part of It's Over conference that we usually do every year, but in August we're going to be doing a healing conference where we're touching on single, marriage, and divorce, relationships all together on one night at the healing conference. So y'all should check that out too. We'll get you and we're going to also have a date night for couples.
Awesome.
That night, and we're praying for the men's family people to be there.
Yes, we will be there.
Okay, cool. Darius Charles, Facebook, Darius Charles. Ministry is IDMC Speaks, lowercase, all lowercase, letter I, DMC Speaks. That's how you can find Unity Ministries. We are going to be speaking in D-Town, DeRidder, February 12th at River of Living Waters. Yeah, River of Living Waters, Pastor Wells. Y'all come on, and if you are in the DeRidder area, come on out. But that's how you can find our ministry as well through IDMC.
What's the date?
February 12th.
Okay.
So that's 2 days before Valentine's Day. Bless somebody over there, So that'll be that's the one way you can keep in contact. Instagram is not I'm not on there as much, but it's D Charles PFS if you want to follow me on Instagram.
I'm Monique Charles. You can find me on Facebook, not MySpace. Monique Willis dash Charles hyphen Charles. I guess and my blankets. If you want any handmade, hand-knitted blankets, just DM me. I'll get you.
Okay, awesome. I am Erica Brown once again. My husband and I, we own a financial service business. So you can find me or him, Lee Brown, on Facebook. And I am Erica Brown on Facebook. I am also a writer. My Instagram is LookSeeLove on Instagram, and that's where you can follow me.
Okay, cool. Well, again, thanks you guys for joining us and having this conversation with us. We're just so grateful to have people like you in our lives. This is just something that we're going to be doing more often, and we'll let you guys know. And we're going to do a better job. I'm going to do a better job of getting the word out and letting people know when we're doing these events. So that's all we have for you this week. This is Glenn
And Tanya
Coleman and everybody else saying, Your marriage matters.
Boom.
We'll see you next week.
See you next